name's Shan, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my tale of back surgeries. So I've had a total of 3 back surgeries. 1 radiofrequency surgery and 2 microdiscectomies. So why did I have to have back surgery and how did I get through it? Why I had to have back surgery? Well, a little foolishness on my part. When I was 19 years old, I worked in a grocery store and I was in the produce department. I loaded what we called a double-decker. It's kind of like a 2-story dolly, about 4 boxes high of 50-pound boxes of sweet potatoes. As I was rolling it out, because I was going to put some more sweet potatoes on it from another area, it caught something on the floor and it fell over. One 50-pound box fell on my left shoulder and one 50-pound box fell in the middle of the right side of my back. Had to go to the doctor immediately at work with workman's comp. They tested to make sure that I didn't have any damage to my kidneys because of where one of the boxes fell. No damage there. I didn't start really having back pain immediately though. It was actually considerably later that I ever even started having pain, but I would have pain here and there sporadically. So with the sporadic pain, one day I was helping the store manager. It was just me and her unloading the trash, and we had to like throw the bags over our heads because of the fact that the dumpster was actually full, and trying to get all these bags from other departments and everything into the dumpster so that they could be taken away from the trash department or the waste management department. So I would have sporadic pain here and there. That was just one of the times that it kind of flared up a little bit, and it would just be like a little pinching in my right hip. Nothing that I thought was abnormal. I was like, oh, I just overdid it, pulled some muscles, what have you. At 21, I was now working at a department store because I decided I wanted to move up a little bit up in my career, and I met my ex-husband. After I met him, I moved to the department where I was unloading trucks so that I could have an earlier shift, so that we could spend more time together. And I started having a lot more pain. I also started taking birth control pills. And I don't care what any doctor says, birth control pills make you gain a lot of weight, or they can make you gain a lot of weight, as in my case. So my doctor's like, oh, well, you'll only gain weight if you eat more, or you're not eating a healthy diet and you're not exercising. I was like, I'm pretty much eating the same. I did not take into account that I was eating later at night. And that I was unloading trucks, so I was getting a lot more exercise. And he's like, well, some of that could very well be muscle weight. It's okay, just, watch your diet and try to get a little bit more exercise to get some of the weight off. No change in prescriptions or anything like that. But I noticed about maybe 3 to 4 months after I started taking these birth control pills that I couldn't fit into my pants anymore. So off we go to Walmart. And at this point, when I first met my ex-husband, I was in a size 9 to 11, depending on how clothing was made. I was still wearing junior's clothes. So I try on 11s, not happening. So I try on a women's. I go to the women's department now, because back then they really didn't have plus size junior's clothes. I go to the women's department. Try a size 12. They didn't even go up my hips. Didn't even go up my hips. So I'm a little upset. I try on a size 14 women's. Got them over my hips, but that was basically it. So now I'm visibly becoming upset. And my ex-husband at this time was like, oh, it's fine. You're fine. Quit being such a baby. I try on a size 16. I got them up, got them zipped, could not for the life of me get them buttoned. They were very uncomfortable. So now the next size is an 18 women's. And the 18s fit. And they were a little tiny bit snug. Not super snug, but they certainly weren't loose. I cried. I cried in the store, and I cried on the way home after buying 3 pairs of size 18 jeans. And this was mostly my lower body, like in my hips area, but I also had to buy some bigger shirts as well. And I was not happy about that. So after this, I decided, you know what, I'm going to look for another job. So I looked for another job, which was a sit-down job, considerably closer to home for where I lived at the time. And I got a job at a call center. And I actually started working at that call center one day after my birthday. And this was in 2000. So at this time, I was 22. So I would think, okay, sitting all day, that's gonna help things, right? It did for a while, but actually it ended up making things worse because now I'm getting almost 0 exercise, paying for a gym membership that I wasn't using, still eating the fast food, didn't really cook very often because it was just me and him, and at that time I just did not really enjoy cooking and doing the dishes and, you know, being domestic. So I'm gaining weight, and now I'm starting to have significantly more pain, and actually finally started my pain. My normal doctor could no longer really help me, so they referred me to a pain management facility. And I just really started kind of going to that pain manager. I wasn't going very often. It was really just to get prescriptions as needed. Because at this point I was not needing to take pain medication every single day, or I didn't want to take pain medication every single day. So in 2001, I get married and still working at this job. And then a little bit later, so now I've been there for about 3 years, or 2 years, excuse me. And now I'm starting to have very significant pain, just pain coursing down my right leg. And there were times that I would try to get up out of bed and I literally fell on the floor because I could not put any weight on my right leg at all. Like it was completely numb. And I would have to crawl to go to the bathroom. And I had to start walking with a cane. So now I'm going on major pain medicine and muscle relaxers. In the meantime with this, I just started going to a neurologist to find out why I'm having this pain. And my husband now tells me he wants a divorce. A week before my birthday. 2 days before I had a job interview because I was trying to get a job closer to home. So I go to the neurologist to find out, you know, what's going on. Why am I having all this pain? And they do this nerve conduction test. I don't recommend one of those if you don't have to have one. If you ever have to have one, just be advised. They are incredibly painful. I literally had to be held down. The nurse was fantastic. I'm surprised I didn't break her hand or her arm. What a nerve conduction test is, my dears, if you've never had one, which I hope you never do, is they put needles into your leg or whatever extremity is having pain. After they put those needles in, they put electricity in. So they're shooting electricity directly into your nerves and into your muscles. This is the having to be held down part because it was so painful that I was gripping this poor woman with a death grip and just praying that it would be over. And they started at my toes and they would slowly go up because I was having numbness in my toes. and they go up my leg because I'm having leg cramps, constantly having leg cramps and neuropathy. So they work their way up. So all this electricity and all these needles are going up and up and up my leg. They get to my hip, still not finding the problem. So they move to my lower back. Ding, ding, ding. That's where the problem was. So now they're referring me to an MRI, and found out that I had the herniated disc. I believe it was my L5. Had a herniated disc in my lower back. And that was, they don't know for sure if it was from when the 50-pound boxes fell on me or when I was unloading trash or unloading trucks or what have you, but they just know that I had degenerative disc disorder or disease. So now I'm in the process of a divorce, walking with a cane, on pain medicine off and on. So I quit my job and I moved to Georgia. Not necessarily the best idea because now I have no health insurance and couldn't find a job. So I ended up having to move back to Florida because this is where I lived at the time. I lived in Florida. So I moved back to Florida, hoping that me and my ex could work things out. And that did not happen. But, you know, there was definitely a good reason for that. So I have all this pain, still having a slightly hard time walking, but now it's a lot more manageable just simply because I have the medication. At 25, which was a difficult year for me because with the divorce, getting a new job, I have been at this new job now for a year, and my birthday passes, and now I'm 26 and going to my doctor's, and I go on vacation, and I go to Georgia to spend it with my mom and my grandparents, and I'm out hiking. It was the last time that I really got to spend some really quality time with my granddaddy. I go hiking, and there's this waterfall, just a little tiny waterfall that I'm going to, and I stepped down. I misjudged the depth of where I was going. And I stepped down and I felt this jarring in my back. Severe jarring. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a stupid thing to do. Let me just finish my hike and then we'll get home. So me and my cousin, we finished our hike. Had to go back up, and it was pretty steep. It was like about like this, and it's like big chunks of steps going up. And it was just rock. It wasn't actually real stairs. It was kind of like nature's made stairs. So I get up and I get in the car or the truck and we drive back home. It was maybe like 5 miles, maybe 10, not even 10 miles back to my mom's house. And I dropped my grandpa off at his house and my cousin. And I'm like, Mom, I don't feel so good. I'm going to lay down. Took a shower. The next morning I had to drive back home to Florida because my vacation was over. The next morning, I could barely move. I was in excruciating pain. And I had to drive back to Florida, hovered like this with the steering wheel. Like I couldn't sit back. It hurt too bad to sit back. People probably thought I was insane driving home and, you know, trying to not speed, but trying to get home as quickly as I possibly could because, oh my God, I wanted to die. And okay, I'm not one to really go to the doctor unless I have to, or I was at the time. So I'm driving home. I get home, go to work the next day, and my boss looks at me and like, what happened to you? And I was like, because I hadn't slept. And I was like, I hurt my back. I'll just give it a few days. 2 days go by, my boss is like, you need to go to the doctor and you need to go now. So I called my doctor and I was able to get in. They immediately start me on steroids. And by the second day of the steroids, I'm doing really well. By day 3 of the steroids, I decide I want to go back to Georgia. Mind you, I had just been there a week before. But I was like, I want to go back to Georgia. I want to go see my mom and my grandma and my grandpa again. And I called my cousin and I go home on my lunch break and I'm like, hey, can my cousin go with me to Georgia? You know, because it's about a 5-hour drive from Georgia to where I lived in Florida. And cousin's mom, because she was a minor, said, yeah, she can go with you if she wants. I was like, yeah, definitely. But I get off work. It's a 5-hour drive. She needs to be ready when I get there, which almost never, ever happened. So I go home on my lunch, pack my clothes, get all my things together, put them in my car. And when I leave work, I literally go straight to their house. And she was ready. She was like rolling her suitcase out the door when she sees me turn the car, which was absolutely shocking. I left her house within less than 5 minutes of getting there. So we're driving along. I make a wrong turn somewhere, and my back is still bothering me at this point. And I'm speeding, and I get pulled over, and I'm crying hysterically because I'm lost. I have no idea where I'm at in these very dark roads in Georgia. And I'm on the cell phone to my mother, and she's like, what is wrong? Where are you? I was like, I don't know where I'm at. So I'm visibly upset. This cop's like, do you know how fast you were going? I was like, no, sir. He's like, well, you were going pretty quickly. Now I'm just going to give you a warning. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. He gave me a warning. He said, ma'am, where exactly are you going? And I was like, I don't know. I'm going here. And he's like, who are you talking to? I go, my mom, and I'm going to her house. And he's like, ma'am, give me the phone. So he finds out where I'm going. And then he gives me directions on where I needed to go. And by the time I get to my mom's, it's like 10:30 at night. And she's on the phone with my grandpa. He didn't want to go to the doctor. He wasn't feeling very good. I didn't know that it was going to be the last time I spoke to my grandfather. 6 a.m. the next morning, which was a Saturday morning, my grandmother calls and says he's gone. So I'm dealing with his back pain, and now I'm dealing with the death of my grandfather. And this is in 2004, so I know it's a long time ago, but I still miss my grandfather. He was a wonderful man, very wonderful man of God. So we go back to Florida, and then my grandfather was buried in Florida because that's where our hometown was. Six days later of my grandfather's death, one of my first cousins passed away due to a drug overdose. So now I have all this pain, and now I'm really scared of taking pain medication because of this. I'm still having a hard time sitting, standing, sleeping, everything like that. And now we're burying 2 different family members. So after we bury my granddaddy and my cousins cremated, I definitely go back to my doctor because I'm still having constant pain. And he recommends that I have a radiofrequency surgery. And what a radiofrequency is where they go in and they kill the nerve endings that are causing a lot of the problem without really having to destroy the root nerve. So the nerve endings eventually grow back. And I did opt to go ahead and have that surgery. And it was quite successful. He said it can last about 6 months, and mine ended up lasting a year. And now at this point, after the radiofrequency, and I'm still having back pain, I start getting steroid injections and still kind of gaining a little bit of weight, not as rapidly as I was before. So dealing with all that pain, I start to slowly get better with the steroid injections because they lasted a good 6 months a lot of times. And with pain management, I had gone through physical therapy, which also helped significantly. So at this time, I'm around 26 years old. My pain doctor says, you know, I really think you might want to consider major back surgery. So I go for a consultation. And I asked this doctor, because I'm not completely stupid. Back surgery, I would think you could possibly, something could go wrong and you could be paralyzed. And this doctor said, oh, there's 0% chance of that happening. You'll never be paralyzed. But let's go ahead and get you in for surgery. What we're going to do is we're going to shave off the part of your disc that's compressing your nerves. And I was like, let me think about it. And I never called him back because I thought he was a complete and utter quack when he said there was 0% chance of paralysis, because I'm not taking a chance. I don't care if he said there was 0% chance. I did not believe him. I was 26, and I had talked to other people that had had back surgery, and they're like, oh, it was the worst mistake I ever made. It was horrible. So I decided, no, I'm just going to stick it out. Do some more physical therapy. So I started doing a little bit better, continue on with my injections, start a new job in 2006. I love that job. I really loved that job. And 2007, I started dating my current husband. And I started doing a little bit of walking. We're starting to eat better because he actually likes home cooked meals. So I started cooking a little bit more and trying to cook a little bit healthier. So I started losing a little bit of weight. And he proposes marriage to me. I tell my mom, hey, Mom, I'm getting married. And she's like, I didn't even know you were dating anybody, because I didn't really tell anybody. So he meets my mom, and 2 to 3 months later, we're getting married. So I slowly started having more and more of the back pain coming along. Having more muscle pain, weakness in my leg again, not always having to walk with a cane anymore, but there were some days that I needed to. So I had another surgical consultation, because that's the pain management specialist said, okay, you're a little older now, you're in your 30s, this is something you might want to think about. So I go for the consultation. At this point, I was willing to risk paralysis. I was in so much pain, constant pain every single day of my life. And I'm only in my 30s. And I am like, this is no way to actually live. This is just a way to exist. And I didn't want to just keep existing. I wanted to live. I wanted to be more active. So 2009, have the consultation. And January 4th of 2010, I have my microdiscectomy. And he also found a bone spur. And he's like, that is probably one of the main reasons you were having so much pain. Don't know why that bone spur didn't show up on the MRI. And it just could have been that I had had the MRI a little longer ago than what he would have liked. But he found the bone spur. He removed it. And I started having a lot less pain immediately. Like as soon as I woke up from surgery, no more pain in my sciatic nerve, no more tingling and numbness running down my right leg. Pain from the surgery, but that was so much more tolerable. And then a few months later, I start physical therapy. And of course, that was painful. I'm sure everyone that's ever gone through physical therapy knows that it's going to be painful, but it was more muscle aches, not the same kind of pain that I was having before. So now I'm able to manage my pain, because now it's not as severe. It's still there, but it's not severe. And this was the discectomy where they scraped the bone off of the nerve, or from compressing my nerve, my sciatic, going down to my sciatic nerve. So in 2011, or late 2010 and 2011, my neighbor and I, we start walking. And we get up to walking about 3 or so miles a day. And in January of 2012, she couldn't go. She wasn't feeling good that day. So I decided I'm going to go alone by myself. And I'm about maybe a third or so into the walk. Maybe walked I'd say close to a mile. And I'm crossing the street because some girl's driving down the road, and she's not really paying attention. She scared me a little bit. I cross the road and bam, I go down. Smashed my head and my face into the pavement. Said little girl, by the way, she didn't even bother to stop and check on me, and she saw me fall. Little teeny bopper, I think she probably laughed at me. She did stop at the stop sign, though, and decided that she had to talk to some dude. And here I am screaming, trying everything I can to prevent from passing out. And thank the Lord, some good citizens decided that they were going to help me. They finally heard me screaming and helped me. Could not for the life of me remember my husband's phone number. On my iPhone, I couldn't remember my passcode because I had hit my head so hard. I'm bleeding. My lip is busted open. I fractured a tooth. Big scrape on my chin. Gravel in my hands. a big gash on my forehead. So yeah, not so pretty. But we finally get a hold of my husband, and he takes me home. I'm starting to get cleaned up, and I'm like, I can't do this. This is so painful. I need to go to the emergency room. No, you'll never get in there. We'll be there for hours. So he takes me up to the urgent care. I walk into urgent care, and you know what's kind of bad when they take one look at you, grab a chart and says, ma'am, come on back. You know, because I'm bleeding. And she can see this big old gash on my mouth. And I'm holding my hands out like you look at me, I was miserable. They take me right back, give me an x-ray to make sure I didn't fracture my skull. And missed a week of work because my lip is busted open. I can't talk. My tooth, I had to go get a root canal in my tooth and get a crown on my tooth. So I really did a number. And at this point, I'm starting to start having headaches, pain in my middle back and in my neck. I'm going to a new pain doctor, and I'm telling them about this. So all they're treating is the lower back pain. They're not really taking, and they're trying to treat the headaches, but not really treat the headaches. Testing me for different things like lupus and just some other autoimmune disorders to see if that's what's going on. Even though I told them I fell, I hit my head, and they were going to order some MRIs for my back, my neck and my upper back, but they never did. So at this point, I'm now December of 2012. And I'm in so much pain, agonizing, that I can't walk anymore without a cane. And I say to my boss, look, I need to go out on disability. I can't sit. I can't do anything. I can't sit, stand, sleep. I can't do anything. I mean, I was in so much pain, I was literally throwing up. So I take myself out on disability, and I'm having some problems with this pain doctor wanting to do the forms that I needed to keep my job and to get paid for being out on disability. So my primary doctor refers me to a different pain specialist. He could not write this form because he had not started treating me yet. And this pain specialist immediately referred me to surgery. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine with surgery. Just please help me. And my primary doctor did the paperwork for me, which I'm very, very grateful for, because she didn't really want to, but she's like, I don't want you to lose your job. So she did all my paperwork for me. I get referred to the surgeon. And I'll never forget, I walk in and he's like, why are you here yet? I told you to lose some weight, and I wouldn't see you again for 10 years. If you lost the weight, you'll be doing good. I didn't expect to see you back in 3 years. And I was like, well, I was out walking, doing what you told me, trying to lose said weight, and I fell on the ground. And I smashed myself really bad. And he goes, well, I didn't tell you to fall. I just told you to walk. So, he was really funny. And 6 days later, I have back surgery number 2, a microdiscectomy. This time it really helped. Now I'm still having to go through physical therapy and still do pain management, still getting cortisone injections. But now he orders an MRI on my neck and my upper back to find out what in the world's going on there, to find out I have 2 to 3 herniated discs in my neck and 3 to 4 in my thoracic or middle of my back. So all I did was physical therapy for those, and started getting the cortisone injections in my neck. So with repeating the injections, I become pre-diabetic. My primary doctor puts me on a medication, and I started watching what I ate. Still hadn't started walking again, but I had started really restricting my diet, and I ended up losing a little over 60 pounds. So at this point, I was having a lot less pain in my body. And then 2018, something really, really weird happened. I turned 40, and I had this sweet tooth that kind of grew in. And, I couldn't find a dentist that could find this sweet tooth and pull it out for me. If I ever do find one, y'all, though, I will absolutely let you know, because I think everybody would want that sweet tooth pulled. But alas, still haven't found one. But I have definitely quit taking a lot of the sweets or eating a lot of the sweets, and that has really helped me by changing my diet to where I'm not craving them as much. So in 2019, I get laid off from my job, which means no more health insurance. So now I'm paying $250 a visit to go to my pain doctor for my back, just to be prescribed a medication. So I get to the point that I absolutely I can't afford this anymore. $250 is a lot of money when you're no longer working, and now your severance package for being laid off has finally run out. So I'm now no longer on any form of pain medication or pain management whatsoever. And actually, once I got past all the physical withdrawals, now I took my pain medicine normal as prescribed. So I would never say I was actually addicted to it. I was dependent on it, but I never took it to get high. I never took it when I wasn't supposed to. So I was on a very strict regimen of when I took the medicine. And if I didn't take it on time, say I was sick or slept late or what have you, I just didn't take it, and I took it on the next dose. So slowly all this weight started creeping back on. And I've actually had gained back about 40, just shy of 40 pounds of that 60 pounds since 2018. So about a month ago, I've now started a new weight loss journey. And I've actually lost 10 pounds since then. It's about 6 weeks ago. I started walking again. I'm trying to walk 3 times a day, early in the morning, 20 minutes on my lunch, and then 20 or so minutes when I get home from work after dinner. And with doing that and changing to a low carb diet, I've actually managed to lose 8 pounds within 30 days. And I'd already lost 2 pounds before that. So all this to say that it's been a struggle, and don't let other people's fears of back surgery scare you, because you might be a success story. I may have some pain now, but it's significantly less, and I'm on 0 medications for pain management other than occasionally where I may need to take ibuprofen or Tylenol. So, sorry about that little disturbance. All this to say that listen to your body. If you're in pain, there's a reason. Something's going on. And don't be foolish like me and put it off for years and years. And don't let other people scare you against having a back surgery that might be recommended, but absolutely do your research. Don't wait until you're in so much pain that the risk of paralysis is actually a viable option and you're willing to consider everything. So I hope you'll continue to be with me on my weight loss journey and just my journey of being a happier and healthier person and being more holistic. So I'm treating not just my physical body, I'm treating my emotional body with meditation, my spiritual body with church and prayer and singing, and I'm just hope that you're on the journey with me. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to listen to my story, and hopefully if you liked it or got anything out of it, you'll watch another video and continue on with me as I tell a little bit of the tales of my life. Thanks.